Okay, let's start. Let's start talking about functions. Functions with Power BI. In the last version, we got pretty awesome feature to create functions. It calls UDF, user defined functions. This feature allows us to create functions. If you're not amazed as I am, I'm going to show you how this feature is so useful and so amazing for Power BI developers. Before we're starting from scratch, don't worry, you don't have to be very advanced to understand what I'm going to show, because I'm going to explain everything slowly and with every and to show you every step. So let's start from how to enable this feature. Uh, First of all, download the latest Power BI version. If you don't know how to do it, go to Google and type Power BI download. And then in the Power BI website, download the latest version of Power BI. After you do that, go to File, then Options and Setting, Options. Here in this window, go to Preview Features and search for this line, the DAX user-defined functions feature, and enable it. After you enable it, it asks you to restart the program. So close the window of the Power BI and open it again. Okay, this feature will exactly, this is the exactly thing that I'm going to show you in this tutorial. Okay, so let's start from scratch. What is a function? Basically, we're saying that this feature let us to create functions, but what is it a function in the Power BI context? So function is basically the DAX that we are using. For example, here, sum is a function. The sum is basically the name of the function, and the value that we put inside is the value that it required. And in the background, this function basically do sum. It's summing the values that we gives in the function itself. Okay, let's take another example. SAMEPERIODLASTYEAR is also a function named SAMEPERIODLASTYEAR, and then this function required a date from a date table, and this function behind do the action that takes the values from the table of the date and compare it to the previous period. So this all of these functions that we are using in the DAX is basically a function that we can create. Why we need to create a function, you're saying? Okay, let's take an example. Let's say I want to create the sale amount of previous month. How do I do that? Currently, I have this measure, okay, this measure that basically do the sum of sale amount. And I want to create new measure that does the sum of sale amount, but for the previous month. Okay, so we have basically the syntax for that. And let's call it sale amount per month. And basically, this is the syntax. Let's say I'm calculate the sale amount and the date add for the date of my dim date. Okay, so this is basically the syntax. There is more ways to do that, but this is one of the ways to present the same period, the sale amount of the previous month. Okay, so what we did here, we take in the sale amount and do this manipulation with the date. Okay, let's save this measure. Let's say I want to create another a measure of the sum of the unit price for previous months. What I'm going to do is basically the same as I did here. Let's do that. I don't have a measure for unit price, but let's create it like we did it. Let's copy that. Okay, let's call it unit price. Okay, I don't have a measure for that, so let's do it like that. Sum of unit price. Okay, let's put these two measures on a table and see what we are getting. Okay, so this is the data for both of the measure for previous months. What the function, the feature of creating functions going to be going to help us here, for example. What we did here is repeating our logic. We repeated our this function. As you can see, we did the date add for the same dim date here and also here. Because why we do all of this long function? It's you know that we have a measure. We can create measure that much longer than that. But let's say it is a long function. If we have this one the same as we did here, why not creating a function that be called uh, same period prev months or prev months calculation or something like that, like we have for same period last year, but only for specifically for months. Let's say that we can create it, and then we don't have to do this logic again and again. Okay, so this is basically what this feature allow us to do. This is pretty amazing because, as I said, we know that measures can be long, and sometimes we repeating ourselves because of we are we cannot use logics and recycle it as we can do in other tools. But right now, with this feature, we can do that. So let's start and use this function, and you will understand what I'm trying to do here. Let's start.
Oh, Dad, my money.
Okay, let's start with the action. Let's start with creating function. First of all, you need to go to this area of DAX query view. Okay, this is right here on the left pane. Click on it and you will see this screen. Basically, we have here a place to write query, DAX queries. We can run it here. We can create as many query as we want. We can create like multiple worksheets. And here we have the model and we have the tables as we saw in the report view. But here we also can see the model, like it break down the model to the functions, managers, relationships, and like that. We can see everything. Okay, let's start with how we can create user-defined function. How can we create our functions? Okay, so the syntax is not very hard. It's pretty easy. We start with define. Okay, when we start typing it and we write code that exists in DAX, suggest for us how we can continue to write, right? You can see we have a suggestion. So this is cool. It's like we can write faster. Okay, so we have the define, which means we are going to define something. And then we define functions. So let's write function. You see, it also suggested to me to write functions. So we know we're good. After we said defined function, we need to give a name to the function. So the name should be explain what this function do. Okay, so if in our case, we want to calculate the previous month's measure, so it probably will be something like that, previous months. But before, I'm suggesting to you to use the same schema for the custom function that you're creating, so you can understand that when you're using a custom function, it will be easy to understand it. I mean, I write my custom function starting with fn. So every time I see the function start in the measure starting with fn, I know that this is function that I wrote. This is not something that Power BI out of the box functions. So do this the same. Use your schema. Use your perfix, as you can see that this is your function. This is the UDF function. So I will start with fn and then give the explanation of the function. So in our case, it will be fn prev month. Then we start with brackets, and then we say if we need measure here, I mean, the function required any measure to put inside. Like we use the sum function, for example, we need to put measure inside, right? If we don't insert measure in the function, it won't work. And it gives us an error that it expected to get some numeric value. So here it do the same. We create a function that expect some numeric value. In some cases, it probably will require more than one measure. Like we have calculation that requires like filters. When we use the filter function, it expects a table and then some filters. So it it depends on the function that you're creating. If you're creating a function that expects one value, like one measure, so you will write here only one variable. If you require more than one measure, you will write here more than one variable. Okay, if it's too complex to understand, just continue watching and you understand how it works when it's done, because it's not that complex. Let's start. Okay, so in our case, I expect it to be with one measure inside. So I will write here measure one. Before the brackets, don't I mistakenly forgot to, you need to write the equal sign. So it's supposed to be look like that. So after I wrote measure one, this is the one measure that I want the user or me, after I will publish this this function, to put inside the function. After that, I have to give it a type. So I will write colon, and then you will see this little window with all of the types that it could be. So here in our case, I want to get a measure, and this is this type is called expression. So don't mistakenly write here numeric, because we are talking about measure. We expecting measure, not columns here. So this is where we put expression as a type here. And then we're closing the function with brackets. After that, we have to type like a little arrow. It's like the equal sign and then a right sign. Okay, so it looks like a little arrow. And then here we're writing the calculation. So the calculation going to be look like that. Here we're going to put this variable that we expecting to get from the function when we are using it. So calculate of measure one, and then the calculation that we use in our previous in the previous measures. So it looks like that. Okay, so I will explain again. Okay, define. This is the syntax function, and then the function name, where I'm suggesting to use a sign like fn or any other combination that will present that this is a custom function. Equal sign, and then inside the brackets, the type of the variable that this function should get. Okay, this is like a variable name. I can change it to any different name that I want, var1. Okay, but then again, I will have to update the function the calculation inside the function. Okay, so this is the name that you can give any name to the variable, but don't forget that if it expects to get a measure, it should be expression, the type should be expression, then this sign of equal, and then a right arrow, and the logic itself. So the logic is the calculate. Then the variable that we get in the measure that will be sent to the function, and the calculation, the logic calculation for the previous ones. Okay, how we creating this function? Currently, we just wrote it. Okay, we said that after we finish it return like this button pop up as enable update model with changes, and then in the brackets we said 1 because we created something and it waiting for us to be published. So I will click on that, and then it asks us again, like, are you sure? Yes, we sure, and we click on update model. After we updating, you can see under the functions here in the tree, you can see it created this function. Okay, it's like in the function list that available for us in this model. Okay, we created functions, guys. This is amazing. Let's see how it works. So let's go back to the report view. We have this unit price. Okay, I mistakenly wrote this name. Let's fix it. Unit price. Um, unit price per month is this amount of price of unit price for the previous month. But let's say that we have this function, so we don't need to use all of this logic anymore. So let's do that. Let's delete this calculation and let's write our new function. You see, right now, when I'm clicking Fn, all of the UDF function that I created available for me here. So this is pretty amazing. Here, it said that it should I should give it one variable. You see, this is the little variable that we asked. This is it. So you can also write meaningful variable names. So that if you don't remember what it should be here, so this is the place that you should write it. Okay, so let's give it the sum of the unit price. This is it. Okay, I close the function with the brackets, and this is it. Let's see what it return. It should return the same number, right? Because we do the same calculation. Okay, this is it. It keep the same amount with the new function, but with less code. So this is pretty amazing. So this function, I can also use it here. Fn prev month. I don't need this logic anymore. This is it. Okay, so we basically created function like the function that available for us here in Power BI. This is amazing. Let's try another basic example. Okay, let's say I want to calculate the sale amount with VAT. Okay, so I will create new measure, sale amount VAT. Okay, so it will be basically sale amount multiple 1.17. Okay, so if you're thinking as I am, this is the idea. If I will create a lot measures with this logic, what will happen when we want to change the VAT? We will need to go through each of the places that we use this number and change it to the new VAT. If I will use it with a function, I will have to change it only on one place. Let's see. Let's go back to this DAX area. I don't have to open new query because I can do it like here in a long function, and it will know to update only the one specific function that I want. Let's try again, because after I will write define, it know that I'm starting here something new. Okay, so let's do let's write the same syntax that it need. And okay, for here I will call it fn vet. And here I'm going to ask again for okay, let's use a meaningful variable, numeric measure. It can be with spaces, so let's get measure. Okay, and then colon and expression and close the brackets and this arrow sign. I will go down because I like to click on enter for new line. And the calculation is easy, okay? So we can use the calculate, but we don't have to. We just can take this numeric measure and then multiply it with 1.117. And this is it. And you can see above this function, you can see I don't have to click on this update model for all of the measures, all of the function. I can only update this function. So I can click on add new function and update model. And let's see, yes, it created for me this new fnvet function. Okay, so let's go back for this formula, for this metric, and change it. I don't want to do this here anymore. I will start with this one. And you can see right now, I know I have to put here numeric expression. This is it. Okay, so we created two custom functions. So this is pretty amazing feature. I love this feature. I'm already using it in my production environment. So you should use it. And I will suggest in you to create like if you are a team and you want to create a source of function that you don't have to write it again and again in each model that you are working on, because this is the function that we just created. It is only available for us here in this model. But if we want to recycle this function, these functions, you should create a dedicated model for the function, dedicated dataset, and then in each model that you are creating, just use this dataset as a source, and then you will be able to use these functions anywhere in your workspace. So this is for the recycling function.